Garrett's not going to be here. I haven't heard anything from Greg, so
Okay.
you can start whenever you like.
Oh, we can start, okay. At 6 o'clock, I call to order and announce a quorum, the Town of Trophy Club's Economic Development Corporation regular meeting agenda on November 20th, 2025. Are there any public comments?
No.
No public.
Regular items number 1, consider approval of the September 22nd Joint Town Council EDC meeting minutes and the October 15th, 2025 EDC meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Accept the
And a
minutes.
second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Okay.
Regular item number 2, discuss the Economic Development Corporation Board's roles and responsibilities.
All right. Good evening, EDC Board. This evening, you've gone over your roles and responsibilities several times. This is just a refresher. Every year, we have to go over just your responsibilities as an EDC member, board member, to discuss just things that we're going to be doing for the next year. I know you've already done all of your due diligence through the town secretary's office. This is just a refresher. So the purpose of the and authority of the EDC is to promote, assist, and enhance economic development within the town of Trophy Club. It eliminates unemployment and underemployment, finance and undertakes projects, and promotes commercial, industrial, and manufacturing growth. We don't do that here. We just promote commercial, and then we carry out activities permitted under the Section 4B. So the board manages control of all properties and affairs of the corporation. It operates subject to town council's oversight in accordance with the articles incorporation and bylaws. You have that in your packet. We've gone over that several times. We've done this process many, many times. So planning and execution, the board develops finances and implements projects. So infrastructure improvements, park and recreation, community facilities, land acquisition for development, and industrial, commercial, wherever needed for projects. With the budget, the board prepares an annual budget. Every year, we have to include that at least 60 days before the fiscal year to our finance department, and then we approve it. And then when we approve the full budget, that goes to town council and approves it through town council's authority. It also manages the corporate funds. So any funds going out, like our Thrive business plan or incentives or anything like that, that's also included in there. So meeting and reporting, the board will hold regular meetings. We usually have ours every month. Sometimes we might do, we've done that this year where we've had 2 in 1 month if we have some pressing issues, as well as we can miss a month sometimes in the holiday seasons just because of time constraints. So the purpose and authority. So president presides over the meeting. They will direct overall operations and execute documents, sign documents that go to town council, and the vice president will act in their absence when needed. The treasurer is usually one of the town staff, so our finance director is usually the treasurer, which oversees the funds, accounting, and any investments that we might have. And then the secretary, we have a board secretary, and then we have an assistant secretary, which is usually our town secretary. So we have 2 just in case for signatures, minutes, and anything like that. So functional duties and annual planning. So the EDC also has to design and execute annual strategies. This is part of our budget season. So during budget, we bring it to you. You decide if you want to do incentives, if you want to do grants for the year, anything like that. And that is what executing the annual strategy is. Submitting an annual economic development plan. That is our business plan. We do have one this year, which is business plan number 5 for town council. It's for our small area plan. So that is something that we will work in tandem with town council to achieve. And then engaging in partnerships and agreements to enhance development opportunities. Anything town council brings to us, you'll take a look at, and then we'll try to work it into our planning. All right, any questions? Okay.
Regular item number 3, discuss and consider the appointment of an EDC board president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and assistant secretary.
Yes.
I don't remember.
So you'll nominate, you can discuss and nominate a person. Once you nominate it, we'll need to have a second. Then you'll vote. You'll have any other discussions about the following. So we'll start with the president, we'll go to vice president, and you can nominate the same people, or you can nominate yourself. It's up to you.
Do I have any nominations for the position of president?
I nominate you, Terry Addington.
Any other nominations?
Nominating you as well.
I'll second it.
And do we have a second? Okay, this is not going so far the way I thought it would. Do I have any nominations for vice president?
Nominate Greg.
Oh, no,
Great.
we have to, once we go to,
President.
you've nominated, and now you need to vote.
Oh, okay.
Alan,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We
Are
need
we
a
all in
majority
favor
vote.
of Terry Addington as president? Motion passes.
Okay, now you can go to vice
Okay,
president.
nominations for vice president, please.
Alan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
First and second for Alan. Do I have a vote? All in favor, thank you.
Yeah.
See, I'm already befuddled. Motion passes.
Perfect.
And secretary, is this the secretary of the board, or
So
is
this
the
will be
assistant secretary?
So the
That's-
treasurer will be our finance director.
Okay,
You can, do we need to have them vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have you vote on appointing our town staff finance director as your treasurer.
okay,
As well as, when we get to the assistant secretary, we'll do the same for
okay.
ours.
So the secretary of the board.
Yes.
Do we have
I'm sorry, who is the current treasurer?
April Duval.
It's April. Okay, I
Yes.
thought so. All
But
right.
you can also do it to where you just appoint the town's finance director
Yes.
as the treasurer. And that way, if for some reason that changes during the year, right,
Gotcha.
not that we're anticipating.
You're saying just
right?
not by name, but by position.
Correct, exactly.
Yes.
Okay,
I nominate the town's finance director to be
Yeah.
treasurer.
So we'll do secretary first. So that's secretary of your
Okay.
board.
okay.
Yes.
Do I have a nomination for secretary of the board?
Yeah, nominate James.
Oh, good.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay, second? All in favor? Motion passes. Do I have a nomination for treasurer for the city's financial director?
Town's financial director.
Correct, yes.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Approved? Approval. Motion carries. An assistant secretary, similar nomination
Similar, town.
for the town secretary to serve as assistant secretary.
That's, you nominated the town's?
Sure.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
All right.
well, thank you all. We'll meet in the parking lot after this. Regular items number 4, discuss the Economic Development Corporation members' role as the TERS board.
All right. So this is going to be a little bit interesting. Good evening, EDC Board. We are going to discuss the TERS board. The town council in April discussed the position of the TERS board being either at the town council level or down at the boards and commission level. So in June, the town council appointed the Economic Development Corporation to serve as the TERS board And so this evening, we're going to discuss kind of what that is, what the TERS board is, how it started, and then what your role is in the TERS board. So the TERS zone. So the TERS board is a tax increment reinvestment zone. So when a property value in this zone, a portion of the extra property tax revenue is called the tax increment. It's collected and used to pay public improvements like roads, utilities, and other projects in that area. It's to help stimulate, anything that you do is to help stimulate growth in a commercial area. So back in 2014, they were looking at what type of area they would like to have as a TERS. So if you look here, that's the raw land on the left-hand side that was deemed a TERS area. On the right-hand side, that's the anticipated development. So we're looking at a quite different picture of what the TERS area looked like back in 2014 and what they anticipated to what we currently have in 2025. And so the development of this area has shifted a little bit, but it is still the TERS area in the small area plan. So the TERS creation. So back in 2007, there was a resolution to create this TERS area with the raw land that was in front of South Highway 114 and Trophy Wood. So all the way up Trophy Wood to Indian Creek. And the 2013 ordinance officially created it, but back in 2014, it was then approved. It was amended for budget incentives, and we'll go over that in 2016 when they did get some commercial properties in there, some interest from developers.
Yeah, anytime you have a TERS going on, you have to have a TERS plan. And your TERS plan outlines the list of projects that you are approving within the TERS zone for it. So before you can, before you can approve a project, the project has to qualify underneath your TERS plan on that. So if ever we're gonna be doing a project, the first thing we're gonna do probably is update the plan. Then you update the plan, then that allows you to go ahead and do the project. Yeah.
So the plan was first adopted in 2013 through the ordinance. The expiration for that is December 31st of 2034. Or earlier termination can be deemed. Town council, they did not terminate it early. They want to continue with it for the small area plan.
Quick question. Who determines the 380 or 381 compliance? Is that,
Like compliance, meaning that the developer has met their terms of the agreement, is that really?
no, that the TERS complies with section 380 and 381?
There's no, so 380 is a chapter that allows you to do the incentives, right? It's the authority under which you can make a development agreement deal with it. 381 are for counties, right? So we'll do 380s because we're a municipality for it.
But I thought I read that we had to have a member from the county. Is that if and only if the county is participating?
That is, I believe that it's only if the county's
Yes.
participating, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
So-
Yes.
yeah.
Good, all right.
But that's different. That's a 380 agreement. The TERS board is different than
Well,
that.
but-
It's gonna all,
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, well, we can use that incentive to bring developers in. And then if we were to work with the county, it's a little bit different working with the county. But we can still do incentives with the county. So back when we started, if you remember, back in 2016, when they amended the ordinance was amended to have developer agreements with both Breadwinner at the time and HG Supply. These were the terms of those agreements, and in December of 2024, we made our final payments for those agreements. So we currently do not have any payments for any developer agreements in the TERS area, which gives us a great opportunity for our small area plan and any developers coming in. So currently, there is a fund balance. If you know, that's the increment from the TERS. We still have $70,000 left in it, in our fund balance to use. So the TERS Board of Directors is created to help manage and oversee the development and financial operations of the reinvestment zone. So you are going to look at this zone, a developer comes in, you can provide an incentive for them. We'll go over incentives in just a little bit on what types of incentives you can provide to them. But as the TERS Board, you will sit and allow a developer agreement with these developers to incentivize them to come in and develop on our land. So the board used to consist of 5, but in June, the town council moved to direct staff to change that membership to equal the EDC board. So it is now 7. So you will be sitting both as an EDC member and as a TERS board member. They will not go on together. You will end an EDC. If one night we have to do EDC and TERS, you will end one and start the other, similar to how you do an EDC meeting. But you can hold those meetings. They are similar in how you're going to be holding them. So each taxing unit, Tarrant County, they can contribute funds to the TERS. The town council appoints the remaining members, and the members serve staggered 2 years. So you're just going to use the terms that you have already on your TERS as well as on your EDC. So if you decide when your term comes up that you'd still like to hold this position, this office, and the TERS, you can do that as well. You serve as an advisory. That is the same thing that the EDC does. When somebody comes to you and you decide that you would like to do a developer agreement with them, you will then go to town council for the final approval.
Really, just a quick question. So Tarrant County, they can contribute, but do they contribute, or can we ask them to? I mean, do we take?
Yeah, so they already do.
Okay.
On the current TERS, they already participate in that one. And we can always ask them to increase that amount, as well as the town can increase its contribution into the TERS as well. For it. We'll explain a little bit more about the way that funding gets siphoned off, right, and put into the TERS fund with it. But yeah, they are participating right now. But you have to, like, when you set up a TERS, you have to get their participation from the beginning, right, in that. They're already doing that, which is helpful for us.
Okay.
And that's the Tarrant County, by the way.
Yep, not
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, all of our TERS is in Tarrant County. That's that little sliver out there. So you'll make recommendations to the town council. You'll prepare and adopt the project plan. That's what Brandon was talking about earlier. If you have a new developer's agreement, we will have to amend it again, similar to what happened in 2016 for those specific developer agreements. It will then have term limits on it, similar to us making that final payment in 2024. All right, so approved uses. So wait a minute, hold on. Approved uses, so you can use it for public infrastructure improvements, incentive agreements for developers, and administrative costs related to the TERS operation. So those are the specific types of uses that you can have as a TERS board to provide incentives. And the board cannot issue bonds, so we can't do bond issues on this. We can't impose any additional taxes or fees on anything. We can't exercise eminent domain, and we do not give final approval to the project. That's for town council.
But the town council can issue bonds if they needed to with a
Yeah.
repayment source from the TERS revenue.
So the TERS exist until December 31st, 2034, or until the financial obligations of the zone are met. If you decide in the next couple of years that you would like to do a developer's agreement and that extends past the 34, then it will be until that term is done and your financial obligation to that development agreement is complete. So a significant portion of the land within the small area plan is in the boundaries of the TERS. So the TERS is a great tool to use to incentivize developers to come in, and us give them these agreements to incentivize them to develop on the land that we still have use for, or redevelop in the future if needed. Okay.
Is that the only TERS that's in effect right now? Is there
Yes.
this area here?
Yes.
And does these funds, I understand how the incremental funds work, but is it restricted? I'm sorry, I keep.
No,
looking
you're
over there.
good. Yeah.
Is it restricted to the 2% cap?
For incentives?
Well, the overall, no,
Oh, the
not for
3.5%?
incentives.
The SB2?
Right.
3.5%? No, it's not.
It's not. So it could be over and above. If we have a developer that comes in that we want to do something long-term, we really don't know the impact of it, right? Because it's incremental as the property increases in value. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it's
Thank
you can do you can do property tax, sales tax, you can give them the land. We're gonna go over those types of incentives, but there isn't a cap on SB2 for those property taxes.
Yeah, think of it like this, right? In your EDC role, you're overseeing the potential use of the sales tax revenue, right, that's generated from all of the properties here in Trophy Club, and figuring out how can we find projects that are compliant with that, for that sales tax. In the TERS role, it's kind of a similar thing, it's just a different revenue source, right? So your revenue source is now the tax increment that's generated from the beginning of that time. So what you do is, when you start a project, let's say it's just raw land, and it has a value of $100,000, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and I establish the TERS zone, it freezes the value of that land at $100,000, and anything new that I do to that property grows the property amount. The original amount, you still collect the normal, the town would still collect the $100,000 of taxes, or the tax on the $100,000. But the increment that's generated from that becomes, it's removed from that pot and put into the TERS zone, right? And the idea is that if you have development coming along, it's a great tool to take the property taxes from that development and help pay for the cost of bringing that development to your community for it. Okay, so that's kind of the way TERS works. So because we established this TERS back when it was raw land, right, and now we have, at least a good portion of it, and now it has buildings on it, it is generating increment, and the increment is then being put into these accounts. And because right now we don't have a source of a project to put on those, it's gonna grow for a little bit until we identify a project that we can go ahead and use those funds for on it. And it can be infrastructure, if it were a parking deck, if it were road improvements, if it were an incentive to bring in a business, all those things can be used for that. So
Utilities.
that's why it's like, when the council was considering where should we put this board, before it was a separate group, we had a totally different board, but you'll find out if there's not a lot of projects going on, this board doesn't really meet. You need them when you have a project going on for it. And then at that point, a lot of times you're gonna be using some sales tax, you're gonna be using some property tax TERS, and you're gonna be doing that until it's like, we can just consolidate this into one board hearing and making the decisions and recommendations of the council on how to use those tools effectively to incentivize businesses coming in. All right, so so I think that's kind of like the big picture on it, and then there's a lot of little minutia details about how, how it is you can fund different things for it. And we'll obviously, as we do that, we'll be having legal help us with making sure we're staying compliant with it and things like that, so.
And the $70,000, that's our TERS balance
As of right now,
as
yeah.
of now. And
Yep.
how does that, I imagine that's been growing over time. What is it annually? Because it's just,
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the annual amount is on that one.
I'm not exactly sure, but I can find that number
I'm
for
just
you.
curious.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to say it's close to that value, if not a little bit more, somewhere between like that and $100,000 a year or so is
But
kind of
it's-
the increment that's generated for
It has already incremented to the tune of $1 million.
Correct.
Plus, right?
Yeah, because before
So-
we were collecting it and then paying it, right?
Right.
So, when you do an increment, you don't have to do the total amount of the increment. And I can't remember what our increment is. Do you know the percentage is? I can't remember what it is.
I don't know what-
I want to say
yeah, I don't know.
45%, but don't quote me.
Yeah.
On it, but it's something like that. So you're only taking a certain percentage of the increment, and you're putting that into the fund. When you establish a project, a lot of times you kind of do the math to figure out, based on the level of incentive we want to give, what percentage of the increment is it going to be, and then you kind of back your way into a formula that helps you kind of aim at that amount and get it to the developers. So that's essentially what was done in this case, right? The target was right around that $1 million over a certain period of time. The math was done, percentage for it. So the town has been receiving, you know, even as that value grows, the town has been receiving more revenue,
Yeah.
even though a portion of it's been moved off onto the TERS.
Any questions? Regular items number 5, discuss state compliant incentive programs for commercial projects.
Okay, so before we start, we'd like to have you read the primary job. This is going to benefit you with some of the Texas code language that we have. I did provide all of the codes and tax codes for you in this presentation so that you can review it. It is cumbersome having to go to each of those levels in our Texas local government code as well as our tax code to try to find what this is. So I made it simple for you so that you could see it. But primary job is going to be something that you'll need to know, which is the job that is available at a company for which a majority of the products or services of that company are ultimately exported or regionally, statewide, nationally, or internationally market infusing new dollars into the local economy. So if we can just remember that as we're researching this information on incentives. And the incentives are presented to you this evening because we have it in the budget of $150,000 to create some type of an incentive for our commercial properties in whichever way that you would like to provide it. We have a lot of different ways, as well as the small area plan. There are also areas there that you can provide incentives to as well. So grant incentives, we know a lot about grant incentives. Local government code 501 and 505 are where we find the law that states that we can provide grants to commercial properties to help the businesses create or retain primary jobs or improve local business conditions. This is our Thrive Business Grant on a small level. We provide those grants for equipment, building improvements, and job creation if we needed to for our commercial properties. The requirements are that it must serve the public, it must include a performance agreement, and then we have a recapture or reclaw back in case they leave the city or leave the town or something happens. And we have that all in our Thrive Business Grant. This is a great tool to use, and we can continue this with the Thrive Business Grant. Here are the sections for you to read for 501 and 505. So infrastructure incentives. We've discussed infrastructure incentives with one of our properties. This is for commercial properties. And so the EDC can fund public infrastructure improvements that directly support new or expanding businesses. So the Shops at Trophy Club, which is where Benny's and Fish and Knife are, they have some street drainage issues. We can, on this type of incentive, provide a larger amount to help provide maintenance or site improvements to help them with drainage that will ultimately help their businesses grow. So this is the type of incentive we can use for larger commercial properties like any of our shops, any of our Trophy Club commercial properties. We will work directly with the owners of those and not any of the businesses. So if we were to do this and you wanted to do this for larger commercial properties, we can. Here is the verbiage with 501 for those for this incentive, as well as 505. So tax-related or partner incentives. So Texas Local Government Code 380 and 381, which is our county one. I'll go over the 381 because we can use it. It's just a little bit different and a little bit more difficult to use than the 380 agreement, which is right at our fingertips. It allows cities and counties to provide grants, loans, and rebates on taxes, fees to promote economic development. So the EDC can fund or administer parts of a 380 agreement The town can layer 380 agreements with other grants. So property tax rebate combined with an EDC-funded infrastructure. So we can definitely use this to our advantage here in the small area plan, as well as any other properties that are underdeveloped. So for the 381, it does authorize counties to establish and administer programs to stimulate business and commercial activity. This is usually done when both the county and the municipality can benefit from this project, or they can share cost and the incentives. So we have to get the county on board. They have to be able to see that this is an incentive for them to work with us in some type of framework that will benefit both of us. So if we were to use this 381, it would have to be very specific, and we'd have to work with the county to do that. Sometimes it's better for larger cities to do that than smaller towns. We just don't have the infrastructure or the land area to do the 381s. So TERS incentives, we kind of went over a little bit of these. That's chapter 311 in the tax code. It captures the increase of the property tax value. So the increment from when we started to where as it goes up in property value, that increment between the two is what goes into our fund balance. And we can pay 380 agreements, we can pay any type of developer agreement through that funding. And then it can co-invest in infrastructure and enhancement in that zone. So if we were to look at the small area plan and we need some new roads, it could help develop those roads using those funds. So this is just what we talked about, what the TERS is. It works to capture those additional tax revenues. It holds it in a specific fund. We have it until December 31st of 2034. If it does go away, that fund balance of the TERS fund will go into our general fund. So it's not lost money. It does go somewhere, but we would like it to stay here in the TERS. It's most beneficial here. So this is just a diagram of how you get to the tax increment. It's where the property starts. So if we were today's dollars is what we start at as our base. And then as we go, say into 10 years, it's rose $100,000. That's a recapture of this land, and that goes into our TERS fund. So property tax abatements, this is used highly in municipalities that want larger corporations to come into their city and town. They use the property tax abatements to write off property tax for a certain amount of year, up to 10 years. And it helps reimburse those property taxes so that they have an incentive to stay here. If we look at Coppell has a great example of that, where they had Verispace come in, they abated it for 10 years, gave them free property taxes so that they would have their corporate offices stay in Coppell. It just provides more opportunities for more jobs. It provides people wanting to come to Coppell, live in Coppell, and therefore it helps and benefits Coppell. So it's a great example if you wanted to have an example that's close. So compliance, remember, anytime that we do any of these, we have to comply with state law. We have to have a performance agreement. We have to follow the same steps that we do with the Thrive Business Grant, which is, I'm glad that we started small so that you can see how it's supposed to be handled, so that when we have a larger one, we're like, oh, we know checklist here, performance agreement. We have to make sure it's state law approved. You get all of the approvals from town council, and then we can start the process of all of our incentive packages. And then, of course, we have to go through audits, and then the comptroller database always has every agreement that we will have with a business on the comptroller website. It's very transparent for anybody to see. All right. So any questions or discussion about incentives? I know this is something that we have in our budget for this year. We also have it, the small area plan, where we can provide incentives when we have developers come in. So is there any discussion on if we would like to start an incentive package, if you would like me to research anything for you, bring something back to you on the properties that we already have? I can definitely do that. If you see a need somewhere in a commercial area and you'd like me to research what type of incentives we could potentially do, I can definitely bring that back to you in another meeting.
Got to give that a little bit of thought.
Okay,
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm almost thinking that we develop the incentive once we see who is developing the property, who wants to develop the property. It's almost like tailored towards maybe the specific entity when they come about. Is that doing it backwards, or is that?
You can definitely do that. We can also do some outreach to the commercial properties that we currently have and see if they have any issues or some needs that the town could potentially help with. We can see if there's a need out there. We currently don't have a great connection with the commercial properties except through the Thrive Business Grant, which I have contacted every single business in Trophy Club. But I can definitely do some outreach to see if there is a need
You
for
were thinking
something
more small
larger.
area plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking more new development than
Yeah.
anything.
Oh, yes,
Small
yeah.
area plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for new developments, we will gear that package when we have a developer come in and you're ready to review them.
Yeah, that's where my head was.
Yeah.
Yes,
That would- yeah,
absolutely.
with you.
We
I
don't
think-
have to have incentives right off the bat that we would like to give them. We can gear it specifically to them.
So I think the next step for the small area plan would be to get approval by the town council, and then we can go out to RFP and, lay it out, and we could solicit,
Yeah.
interest and see what happens.
Yep, we have something coming to you in December, and we'll go over that agenda item in December.
Is there a way, looking at the overall town, all the commercial activity in the town, is there a way that we could take a look at, or somebody on staff could take a look at, any particular businesses where sales tax is declining?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we could take a look at that and say, all right, why is it declining? Is it something that we can help with, short of just an infusion of cash, right? Is there some way that we could help? We may be able to solicit, those businesses, if there are any,
Right,
that, could use our help.
right, absolutely.
So how do we go about,
I can pull that information for you.
that would be perfect.
Our sales tax is through a specific entity, but it's in-house, so it's not public knowledge. So I can gather that information for you and then provide those businesses.
And if there's any issue with, with confidentiality or whatever, you could say business A and, without using names, if there is an issue, I don't know.
Yeah,
No.
I'll have to check with it.
Okay.
I think we will probably just talk in general about it, and then if needed, if we decide to do an incentive program and I need to tell you specifically, we could probably do it executive session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I think that's a good activity.
Okay, well, we'll gather that data, and then I will bring something to you in January. In December, we have one item, and that is another,
Is it the holiday party? That's what I wanted to know. Is that turkey dinner?
Appointing Terry president through 2030.
right?
Somebody get our new compensation package.
I think,
The board.
I'm just gonna nominate Terry as the TERS board president also.
Perpetuity.
Well, the town council, actually, they appoint the
Oh, they do?
president. So, yeah, once we've discussed this with you, we'll bring that item to the town council to appoint.
Has anybody here sat on a TERS board or dealt with a 380 besides me? Okay.
Like you're,
One's campaigning.
No. Just checking. No.
Smells like a campaign.
Turn the recorder off.
Okay, well, think about this incentive package, think about the commercial properties. This is a town council strategic plan item. This is something they would like you to look at. It is also something we have budgeted for. for our already commercial properties. This is outside of the small area plan. So this is specifically geared towards our commercial properties that we currently have. They would like you to see if there's some type of incentive program that you could help with the current commercial properties. So as you're out there, or as you're looking at the documentation, if you have questions on it, if you need something, just let me know, and then we'll discuss this in January, after I provide that information for everybody.
Yeah, that makes that information more important now.
Yes, it does.
I catch that, so, okay, good.
What is the Trophy Club Park considered? That's not commercial, right, but it makes revenue, or how does that fall within?
So it is, we have a lease with,
To the county, right? 'Cause it's county
no,
property.
it's the Corps of Engineers. Yeah, we have a lease with them. We're able to put non-permanent items on that land, and then we can have a revenue generation for that property. I'm not sure that, because it's specific to
Permanent?
items, that we can do anything that would
Yeah.
be beneficial, because we would have to actually put something there. And it would have to generate some type of money and positions and things like that. I can definitely look into that and make sure, but off the top of my head, I don't know that that would be an opportunity for us. But we do have the parks looking at that through their Parks Master Plan, so,
okay.
yeah.
Quick question about primary businesses, okay? I was under the impression that a primary business, one of the requirements for a business to be a primary business is it had to export their product or services outside of the country. Is it different than that? Am I under a misconception there?
A primary business exporting outside the country?
Yeah, I thought they had to export out of the country. They had to export a product or a service outside the country.
I will have to research that. I'm not sure that's a primary business.
You mean primary job? Is that what you're saying?
Well, primary jobs are part of a primary business, right? But the definition of, I was trying, when,
Yeah.
No statewide, national, international market.
when I was researching primary roles, 4A, 4B, and the differences, I was trying to determine what businesses we would have here in Trophy Club that were primary businesses.
So to me, that would mean, like a fish and knife is their primary business. It's not commercial property, like it's not a chain of properties. It's
Okay.
within the town. You could probably say that it's a primary because it's,
I'm going to have to research.
yeah, let me
I'll
look at that,
research
because it does say exporting, but I don't think that that's what that means. I think it's primary business just means that it's within the town, and that's their primary, like a fish and knife, that's their primary,
Yeah, their
Restaurant.
business
Yes.
is a product, a food product.
Yes.
And they sell it and people
yes,
leave the business.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
To me, it would be like, in my head, when I think about that, it would be, we have a person who is holding a business that ships things outside. It's not their primary it's not their primary business because they don't have anybody coming in, but they're shipping things. So to me, I think that's the difference between the two. But let me check and I'll give you that answer.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else?
All
Okay.
set.
This meeting is adjourned at 6:44 PM.